Good afternoon, this is Miss Starnes again. This second video is on checking, how to write a check correctly, and information about banking. Most people use a debit card these days, but there are still times that you need to write a check. And these items will be discussed in the video. Hope you enjoy.
How to write a check. We all know that these days you can pay for pretty much everything online, from something as simple as food delivery to major financial transactions like college tuition and bills. With all this convenience a click away, writing checks has become a thing of the past, right? Wrong. Believe it or not, financial experts still suggest carrying a checkbook at all times. In fact, using checks has tons of benefits that we'll get into a bit later. As for how on earth do you write a check properly, don't worry, we got you covered. But before you grab a pen and start taking notes, be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on post notifications so that you won't miss a thing on the bright side of life. Alright, let's tackle this whole check writing thing step by step. The first thing you start with is the date. It's got to be the same day that you sign the bottom of the check. It is a legal document, so it has pretty strict rules like this. The date goes on the blank space next to or above the word date in the upper right-hand corner of the check. The next step is to fill out the line next to paid to the order of. This will be the name of the person or company you're sending the check to. If it's going to be a certain person, write out both their first and last names. Don't forget to add junior or senior at the end if they are. As for making checks out to companies, make sure you know exactly what it's called before filling out the check. You can always put cash if you're not sure, but you'd be taking a risk since that means literally anyone can cash your check. And finally, if you're writing a check to an organization, put down its full name, no acronyms or anything like that. At the end of the pay to the order of line, you'll see a dollar sign. That's where you write the amount of your check. You need to put the exact amount, including both dollars and cents, like 150.75. If it's a whole amount without any change, like $150, write 150.00. Once you're done with this, it's time to fill out the line below paid to the order of and the value. This line is for writing out the monetary amount of your check in words, not numbers. For example, you'd write $150.75. Again, you've got to include the change. For a whole amount, you can write $150 even, or $150.00. All this is done so that nobody else can add more money to the amount on the check. After you've filled out all that information, sign your check on the line in the bottom right corner. Don't forget this step. Without your signature, the check is invalid. You can also fill out the memo section in the bottom left corner. It's totally optional, but feel free to use it as a note for your recipient on what the check is for. If it's going to a company, find out whether this company requires you to provide certain information in the memo section of the check, like your ID or apartment number. And there you go. Your check is complete. Don't you feel so grown up and responsible now? But hang on there. We're not done just yet. Don't you want to know what a check is actually good for and when you might need to use one? The first thing you'll probably want to know is that some businesses, like utility companies or government agencies, charge extra fees for paying by card. They basically accept credit or debit cards only through third-party processors that charge a fee every time you use your card. So that's when checks really come in handy, since there's no additional payment. Plus, some places don't accept card payments whatsoever, and it's really hard to guess whether or not a company only takes checks or money orders. That's why it's always helpful to have a checkbook with you and know how to write a check in any unexpected situations like these. Another thing is that technology can let us down at the most inopportune times. A nearby ATM might be out of order, or the website you're trying to make a payment on might crash. You never know with these things, but if you carry a checkbook with you, problem solved. While everybody else is panicking and waiting for their electronic devices to work again, you'll already be done with your transaction and on your way home. Some retail stores also don't help with their fees for small purchases paid for by credit card. If you don't have another form of payment, this could result in you wasting money on an item you don't need in order to meet the minimum. Using checks, however, you can save money and make it less stressful in certain situations. One of the best things about paying with checks is that they're traceable. When you mail someone a check, you can choose the type of mail service you want to use along with your preferred tracking method. Once your check clears, a copy of it will show up on your bank statement. That means if you have any troubles later, you can show this copy to your creditor. Other forms of payment don't really have this option, which can make it kind of difficult to make sure everything went through correctly and you've got black and white proof in case something goes wrong. Now, when it comes to using checks, as with any form of payment, there are certain things you need to do to protect yourself against financial and identity theft. First and foremost, guard your checks. Keep your checkbook in a safe place like a locked desk drawer. Don't forget to keep a record of the checks you use. You can do this in your checkbook register. Some check printers provide duplicate check pads that instantly provide you with a copy of each check you make so that you'll always have one for yourself too. Try not to use checks everywhere. Yes, it's a good form of payment with lots of advantages to it, but there's always a chance that your check may fall into the wrong hands. Criminals can use checks to steal your money or even your identity. So never leave a check just lying around, like in an unlocked mailbox or in your office's outgoing mail basket. Instead, make it a habit to put your check in an envelope and place it in a postal service mailbox or bring it directly to the post office. Don't write any unnecessary or personal information on your check. Your name and address is enough. Don't put your phone or license number unless your merchant asks for it. The more information you put down, the easier it is for identity thieves to get to your finances. Your checking account information needs just as much protection, so be extra careful with who you give it to. If you don't know a business that well, double-check it or choose another form of payment to protect your personal information and money. And finally, never ever write a check if you don't have the funds for it. It's not going to work itself out magically. In reality, you'll be slapped in the face with bounced check fees. In some countries, it's even illegal to write a bad check. So be responsible, think everything through, and check your account before writing a check. Remember, it's not just a piece of paper. It's a legal document that should be filled out properly and brings pretty nasty consequences when it isn't. And that's basically all there is to using checks. Not too complicated, huh? If you follow all these tips, you'll be able to easily and safely pay for everything you need and protect your money at the same time. A combination everyone is looking for.